it can be that much more of a surprise.
Yeah.
Except to you guys, because you're watching it here. One of the common skills that authors apply when writing a novel is that of raising stakes. And in our planning this week, we have discovered that we need to raise the stakes in an unconventional way, and that is by actually lowering them. We'll talk about that. This is very much a spoiler video. We're going to talk in detail about what some of our plans are and how we're counterintuitively raising the stakes by lowering them.
So the stakes for the part of the novel that we're going to be talking about today are that our main character, Arnold, and then secondary character, Vanessa, they are genetically modified in a very specific way by scientists in the future who sent them back in time as babies so that way they would grow up to be able to fulfill a very specific role that the scientists needed them to fulfill. And the scientists now need to pull them back or pull them forward in the future so that way they can prevent this disaster that they are trying to prevent. So that's big scale of what the stakes are at this point in the novel.
And my exercise this week was to think about the scene where Vanessa reveals this information to Arnold. And it just felt like a lot of information to dump all at once. And I realized that it felt like it was going to be more helpful to split the information and separate the revelation of the two pieces. First, by the way, you're genetically modified human being sent back in time. And then the second piece, oh, and by the way, we need you to come forward in time. Part of that was just to give the reader space to process it. Part of it was to give just room in the scene to present the information. Just to give the reader a chance to process all of that. And then we realized that there were some additional benefits to making that split.
And one of the things that we want to have in between those two revelations is Arnold processing this information by talking to his parents about it. And one of the benefits of having that is it is a chance to introduce his parents and to explore their relationship, because that relationship is something that comes up multiple times later on throughout the book. So having him explore these things with them and introduce that relationship dynamic kind of helps to break up the intensity of all the science fiction that's in there.
But also, as kind of a side effect, as we were discussing it, we realized that there is a positive for the plot development as well. And that is, it allows us to feel even more that we're raising the stakes. So by separating the two, we get to focus first on, surprise, you're a genetically modified human being who was sent back in time 30 years ago, and you have a mission to fulfill. The stakes are, let me recruit you to join me in training for this new skill, to develop what your biology is able to do, to prepare, to commit for this thing that we want you to do 16 years from now. Will you commit to the training and the disruption of life that creates? Mm-hmm. Spending the time to magnify the importance of that preliminary step just makes it that much bigger when we get to reveal, oh, double surprise, we also need you to time travel forward. You thought you were going to have all of this time to prepare and to learn. Surprise, you don't. We need you right now. And it makes the stakes even bigger when they do show up.
And it almost feels counterintuitive to spend the time talking about you're going to be doing this training for the next 14 years until you're actually needed. And they go, actually, wait a minute. No, never mind. Because in our mind, we already know that they're not going to be going through this training, because that never was it was always the plan as for us as writers to have them pulled forward. But that wasn't always the plan for the scientists in the world. And so to display that and to give the impression that it really is a raising of the stakes and that this wasn't their original plan, and to show that by having this training and this other plan that then gets disrupted.
And you're talking about that's always been our plan. Even when I've talked to other people about what's the premise of the novel, we've combined the two into one thing. I've thought about the blurb. It'll combine the two. And I'm wondering if maybe when we describe the novel in the blurb or in the description in other places, that we don't mention the time travel of the people, so that when people are reading, it can be that much more of a surprise, except to you guys because you're watching it here on the video. But I like that it gives the reader a chance to grasp the significance of that first request, so that it does feel like a twist when we raise the stakes even higher. So our question to you for this week is, what is a surprising example of raising the stakes that you can think of from a story that you have seen or read? And we look forward to reading your notes in the comments, and we'll see you again next week.